As a child of divorce myself, I swore that I would never get divorced if I had children. Never.
Don't ever believe for a second that getting a divorce is going to ruin your children's lives.
To say that those divorces did not affect me at all and my viewpoints on marriage would be lying.
If we didn't have kids, we would have completely split up. Early on. We would have never gotten married.
I'll go on.
Divorce is so freaking expensive.
Hi, this is Mindy Roberts from themommyblog.net. I'm here to talk to you today about divorcing, specifically. Divorcing with tenderness and grace. Now, this is something that I've been writing about for at least 5 years. In fact, about 5 years ago, I wrote a post called Tenderness and Grace. The gist of it was that if my husband and I, my ex-husband and I, had managed to bring the children this far in their lives, relatively unscrewed up, and surprised enough about the divorce that they asked why we would get divorced if we didn't fight. We figured if we could do that, we should be able to divorce with some tenderness and grace.
My parents divorced when I was 10 years old. Was it one of the most transforming and disruptive and devastating events to ever happen to me in my life? Yeah. However, my parents handled it, I think, as best as you can handle a divorce. They put the children first and immediately became working friends and working partners in raising us.
The best divorce I knew growing up was there was a girl who I went to school with, and her mom and dad lived within 1 block of each other, and they were also very amiable with each other. So her and her brother could literally just walk out of dad's house, walk over to mom's house. It was no big deal. I thought, wow, that's the way to do it.
My parents are still together. They have been married for a lot of years. The first 2 years of my marriage, there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't think about getting divorced. And there wasn't a week that went by that my husband and I didn't talk about it. If we didn't have kids, we would have completely split up. Early on. We would have never gotten married.
Paige's father and I were never married, and I'm glad, because I would have hated to go through the actual process of divorce. Divorce to me is like a hurricane, and when you see a hurricane, it's absolutely terrifying, and the aftermath of a hurricane is always destruction, and oftentimes what grows out of that destruction is something better and more wonderful.
I have a very cordial, accommodating divorce arrangement. 50-50 custody. He lives 1 mile away. We've agreed never to move away from each other. If one person moves out of state, the other person goes. I like that my children can now ride their bikes back and forth. We're very friendly. In fact, I think we're better friends now than we were when we were married.
It's so great to hear people talk about having a civil divorce, because I don't even know what that looks like. My dad's been married not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. To say that those divorces did not affect me at all and my viewpoints on marriage would be lying, because I completely don't think marriage is important to me.
As a child of divorce myself, I swore that I would never get divorced if I had children. Never. And my brother, who is married but has decided never to have children, I believe largely made that decision because of the experience we had growing up. When I called him to tell him that I was getting divorced, the first thing he told me was I was stupid to get married in the first place, and that congratulations, you've just ruined 3 children's lives.
Mindy, I just want to say this to you. Don't let anybody ever tell you, or don't ever believe for a second that getting a divorce is going to ruin your children's lives, because me and my sister and my brother have gone on to lead really fulfilling lives, and we've got jobs, and we have healthy relationships with our spouses. I would even say that because of what we saw go on in my parents' relationship, we are much more careful about how we approach problems in our own relationships, and much more eager to work it out.
You gotta remember, you think your spouse bugs you now. When they're your ex-spouse, you have no control over them. You have no control whether your ex-husband is dating a stripper, Let your kids eat Frosted Flakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whatever it is. I mean, short of like major child endangerment, you really have no control.
Kind of like how Jean was like, I never want to get married because I've been through a divorce. I've been surrounded by so many happy marriages. It made me, somewhat delusional in terms of what it meant to be married. I expected my marriage to be just like everyone else's. And it was a lot harder than I thought.
I know that love is worth fighting for. If you tried everything that you could possibly try to make a relationship work and it doesn't, then I think it's okay. But I definitely think that if you make that commitment to be married, then you gotta fight for it.
There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything, and there's a way to work it out. And if you fall off the plan, that's okay, because the plan is not a goal, it's a journey. We make do with what we have, and we can't control anybody else. We can't control anybody's actions, we can only control our own reactions. And this is why when people ask me, do I regret anything, would I change anything? Absolutely no. No effing way would I change a thing, because that would mean I wouldn't be right here, right now, talking to you, living my life.
The conversation is happening now at Momversation.com.